everyone. Welcome to Community Segmentation, 2:35 p.m. Thanks for enduring the heat. I know it's not the most ideal circumstances, but it is a pretty nice spot. So let's get into it. Am I loud enough? Can you hear me? Great. Amazing. A little bit louder? Great. Okay. Also, if there's sound people, make me louder. Thanks. So today's workshop is going to be a quick rundown. It's going to be community segmentation. We're going to talk about the role of roles, and we'll make roles for ourselves because I really feel like after working years with communities that we have forgot to talk to each other and figure out who we are and how we can connect better. So we'll get right into it. I'm Réka, by the way, co-founder and CMO of Guild.XYZ, which is an automated access and membership management platform. We help projects succeed with their communities and start them, maintain them, and then grow them to eternity. Recently, we have worked with mostly layer ones, layer twos, and DeFi projects. Initially, we were like small niche friend communities and DAOs. So over the last 2 years, I've worked with hundreds of communities, so we'll get some of those insights. But we'll also do stuff ourselves right now, and it will require a tiny bit of participation, but no like breakout groups or anything like that. I try to avoid that. I don't like those as a personally either. So the problem statement is to actually have flourishing communities. The common point there is the commonality. To have shared experiences, we need to know what we have in common. And it is a very, very big task. And most of the community managers and builders that I've been talking to, they're like so interested in quick gains and growth and everything that they, and we have kind of neglected this part of the equation. And I'd like to bring back the attention to that and knowing very specifically who's actually in your community. And so we'll have a little session about this right now. And to give a little more Berlin way of putting this and why it's important, it's dictatorship at the door and democracy at the dance floor. I really, really like this quote. And it essentially shows the significance of having a well set up, curated access point at the entry, and then how much more freedom that gives to the individuals to have their own experiences in a personalized, more safe way on the inside, and how much deeper the connections can go because you know you have things in common, you know everyone went through the same curation system. It creates a much better space to nurture shared experiences and these connections. So we'll do this. Pull out your phones. It's a very short little Google form. No harming links, no POAPs, no nothing. It's a Google form. We all know that. It's a list of, you might see some Hungarian words there. I apologize, but the questions themselves are in English. You can lie if you want. There's no identification involved, so you can say whatever. Why we're doing this is a little bit of a surprise, but you'll see in like 2 minutes. Just answer the 6 questions. I can show, if you guys have the QR code, I can also show the form, and we can go through it. So first question is, what was your first on-chain year? Second is, what chains out of these 4 are you most active on? Amount of ETH in your wallet, roughly. Have you ever been to ETC in Paris? Have you ever deployed a smart contract yourself? And have you ever voted in Snapshot, which is a very popular decision-making tool, been around for years? And do you own this particular base introduced NFT commemorating their launch over the summer, or the beginning of the summer? 700,000 or 800,000 people own this NFT, so I thought it's a safe bet and a recent campaign that we can count on. If you don't, no worries. This is all for funsies. There's already 17 answers. Amazing. Wow, everyone's before 2021. Let's go, OGs. Amazing. I'll refresh just in case. Okay, that's pretty fun. I filled this out beforehand just to make sure it works. So we'll go through these later, but thanks. If you need to, take a little bit of time to continue doing that. Otherwise, we'll go into more explanation here, and then we'll see the results and do something with them. So I'll say a little bit about the guild model, because as it relates to curation and roles, it's the requirement, roles, and reward system. The requirements you set up across 20 different chains, a bunch of different protocols that communities use. They're usually along the lines of Have you been active since the time on chain? Do you own an asset? Have you been to a community event? Have you been to an in-person event? And similar things to what answer you just gave to the survey. And these usually correspond to roles in the community, which a lot of times in the communities that use Guild are alongside of general community management, timeliness of the membership, so how long a person has been a member, and then also more towards growth strategies, participating in campaigns, how long they have been around in that capacity. And they always correspond to rewards, which are usually access or a tool or an event that you can go to or some form of privileges. Sometimes, which is interestingly, this trend that we've seen recently is that roles themselves, just getting the role itself and maybe an access to a chat group is enough as a reward, which is super interesting. And it also a good answer to a good reaction to what's happening in the space with all the lower quality farmer communities having their second rise right now. More on the role of roles. So if you set those up well, they essentially are super helpful to identify, engage, and then retain the members that a project has in their community. So these are the 6 main functions that we see as use cases on Guild right now, and also the hottest topics that community builders and community managers are interested in and setting up as processes within communities. So how do we onboard members who are new to the community? How do we educate them about our project, what's going on, even about crypto? A lot of the cases like SheFi and a bunch of other communities are actually putting in effort to educate people about crypto itself, wallets, and safety. How do we do campaigns so we can grow and then we can proliferate what we're working on and people can see, put it in front of people? How do we target the right subgroup in our community? How do we make sure that the person who's actually interested in cross-chain trading sees our message about cross-chain trading, that we just launched this new feature about it? How do we create loyalty, which essentially just means that a person is willing to participate longer? How do we make sure that they know how to do it, can do it, and are actually doing it? And then along that is retention, which is just the same, but longer term. So if you segment well enough, each individual's internet history, assets that they have, their expertise, what they like to do in their free time on the chain or on the internet, and all of those correspond to roles that then help you identify who's actually in your community. And with that, we can create much deeper, more engaging and value-giving experiences together. So if you know that all of these individuals, like Claire, she's not only a gambler, but also a social butterfly because of the requirements that you set up before, it gives you a much better chance to send her towards rewards and engagements and activations that you actually want her to participate in, and she'll like participating in it. This way, the communities that we have not only will feel for the individual much like, oh, wait, like I really like this. Like I got what I was meant to. Like they automatically get what they qualify for much easier and simpler and more automatically. But when they get in, they see this about each other potentially. And how cool is that I can find all the like other gamblers and we can do little anon gambling things together. I don't want to do that, but for other people, the DeFi degens, it's much better to have a sense of community and connection. I know what to connect to you about. I exactly know who you are, just on that interest. So now we're going to go into the Google form and see what you guys put in and what we can do with it. So I'll refresh just in case it doesn't refresh on its own. We have 18 answers. Wonderful. Thank you. What we're going to do with this is insight about who we are in these random questions. These are specifically so I can set up roles for us right now. And we can find out what we have in common without it being like very intrusive, and also something that benefits if we want to connect on something later in a group or in a different setting. So let's see, what chains are you most active out of this 4? Ethereum. Okay, what's the second one? Polygon. Wonderful. I think I put Polygon, to be honest, because all the signings, all the like social projects are usually like using Polygon because of the price. Amount of ETH in your wallet. So roughly, I see we are between 1 and 10 as a group. Wonderful. Have you ever been to ETC? Yes. Amazing. So we're a group who has on average, we have between 1 and 10 ETH in our wallet. We have been to ETC. We have been around since 2021. we have deployed smart contracts, okay, with devs, hello. And we have voted in Snapchat. Okay, this is, okay, a few little explanation why this is really cool. First of all, it's lovely to meet you. Hello, privilege. But also, now we're going to get into creating roles for this. So now we know an average of assumption of who's here, and we can create a group where most of us can join automatically and in a very permissionless free way. Wait, last question. Do you own this NFT? No. Okay, well, gotta be on Twitter more. Perfect. So we'll set up roles for this quick. I think we'll just make 2 or 3 out of all of these answers. So to not go through repetitive processes, we'll create a brand new guild for it. We'll just do start from scratch, just ask you to collect your wallet. Will be safe workshop. Cool. No description, no email. Thank you. Yay. So out of these answers, what was very clear is that we have been around since 2021. The amount of ETH we have, actually we could set up roles for all of these, but we can do a combination. So what we'll do is we'll have a member role where it's not free entry, but we are connecting the POAPs for ETHCC. I could have music underneath here now. Oh, I won't find this. Oh, I know I won't. Oh, I need the link. Okay, let's not do the POAPs. That's difficult. What we're going to do, though, is we'll do wallet activity. Since we've said we're most active on ETH, let's do Ethereum. And we'll do wallet age. Yeah, and then we'll say 2020 December then? Yeah, let's do that. That's going to be one of our requirements, since that's majority of us, for sure. We could also do something in addition to this, is deploy the contract, because most of you have. I have not, so I won't be able to join. Sad. But we could say you have deployed 1 contract in this time frame of like 2019, January to today. Oops. Cool. And we'll also add the ETH, because we do hold between 1 and 10 ETH each. So we'll choose a token, go into ETH, and say, let's do 2. Yeah. So these were all true. What else was true? That we do not hold this NFT. Oh, I should have saved it. Wait, actually, let me pull it up. Guild.XYZ. This is live creation. No, this isn't. Not that one. I'll pull up the NFT and I'll show you that we can do negation. So we can say we do not own that NFT. Base introduce this one. View and Explorer. We have the contract. Perfect. And we'll go back to our little guild of Safe Workshop. And we'll say NFT. I think this is an Ethereum. Yep, it's on Ethereum. I'm sweating so much, I'm sorry. And we'll paste the contract. Amount, hold 1, and we'll say should not satisfy. Since most of you do not have this, 55%, we'll do a negation role. So you cannot hold this. If you don't hold this, you qualify. That's the rule here. What else? Let's leave the POAPs out of this game right now. Okay, so we could do wallet activity, but I think I've demonstrated that with wallet age and the smart contract deployment. So what we'll do as well is that this is, if you can see, it's end between all of these. So I would require you to do all of these to be able to enter, which is not all of us. So what we'll do is we'll say should satisfy some, and we'll say you can satisfy at least one of them, which is all of you, I think, roughly. So we'll save that. How do I make QR codes really quickly? Because I also want you guys to join. Yeah, QR code generator. Perfect. Do this. You'll get to the redirected to the guilds page, and you'll see which ones you qualify once you connect your wallet. So you'll see which of the, like, I think 4 or 5 that we set up you actually qualify for, and you'll be able to enter the guild. For that, we'll quickly add the reward as well, because that's rude of me not to give anything in return. I could get a Telegram, but then, okay, I won't create a Telegram. We'll get a Telegram group after. Set up. Perfect. Okay, so this is us. And I put them all into one role. What we could do is have the same of, like, we could be, I could set up for us who are governors and go for the snapshot. So we could say, Governor OG, choose snapshot as a requirement. There we go. And say, has voted X times. And we could say, he voted at least once. And whose space should we choose? On the specific okay, let's not do this. I don't want to waste time. But we could say that you have voted. Since most of us have voted on Snapshot, we could also set up a role to identify if you have voted X times in a given Snapshot governance proposal. And then we could also add in combination of, like, the smart contract deployment or the wallet activity to that, so that we can make sure that everyone who gets the reward of participation has done that. And I'll show you more examples of other projects using it, namely Pull Together. They are making decisions together and have roles to do so. And the community is segmented based on who participates in those. So let's continue from here. So far, all the communities that we've been working with have been having their own troubles, having their own challenges, what they want to work on. And what I've brought you is 3 examples of, one is identifying members, the other is loyalty, and the third is onboarding, and what these communities have decided to do and choose the specific requirements to then satisfy these purposes that they want to do. And the video works. Okay, so this is Chainlink. What they're doing is, it's really important for them to, and every community, to channel members towards the highest value engagements and initiatives, and to also be able to form subgroups to people who are eligible to join this, and also who have been these, or they do the statement of these, like, for example, that you could see here in the video, that they're active on BNB, or they hold BNB Avalanche, is true to them. So what they've done is essentially they set up roles to identify who's active in which ecosystem, and also what languages. Why did I put the video twice? It's fine. Also what languages they speak. So for them, it was easier because they have different Twitter accounts for each language part of Chainlink and who follows them. This is very important because this way they can identify members and opportunities where they want to host an event, where they want to put more BD efforts into, and what language channels they should create. This way they can much easier figure out how they can complete business goals, and also how to engage the community the best way that fits everyone in these categories. So the next one is loyalty. For that, I brought Uniswap as an example. Uniswap obviously is a very well-established project, and for them, like, growth, for example, isn't as important as for a smaller one. So what they're focusing on is how do they identify the people who have been supporting the longest, or active users of the protocol, and provide the value for them that they can to keep them in the community, retain them, and make sure that they are actually happy where they are, where they can get feedback and just participate in the community as the general basis. So what they've done is that they've set up roles to provide to identify who have provided liquidity for the Uniswap V3. For these two are for different levels of swappers. So for example, I think these are copious amounts of swaps, by the way. Like that's why there's only like 280 people in these roles, because this is, I think, like 10,000 swaps in the last like 2 years or something. So it's 80 people that they have identified this way. This is much less, I think half, like 5,000 or something. And they also, I don't know, many of you might remember, if we're before 2021 people, the Unisocks campaign. So these NFTs could have been redeemed for physical socks if you burnt the NFT. It was really cool, super hype, love it. They have 6 people who still hold those NFTs though. It's been years, so many years. So why this is extremely beneficial is they know, and it can reach all of these people. These are their highest engaged members and customers, so to speak, and supporters. So yeah, like if you want someone to give you feedback, these are the people you want to talk to and engage and involve. Another version of loyalty is the snapshot example that I want to say. It's pulled together. I don't know if any of you are in this community, but they're great with their roles. So if you need inspiration, definitely check them out. So they have set up a role to identify active participants in their decision making. They also have roles for people they also apply to be a big staker in optimism and participate in their governance, and they have roles to engage those people as well. And what they also did is they have a staking project going on within the community that benefits both the community collectively and the individual that's participating. And they could set up these roles as well to find that 12 people who are doing that with them. And the third example here is the onboarding. So it is, if you've ever dealt with the community, and I know all of you are in a few Discords at least, you have seen how incredibly like boring and weird and overwhelming it is when you go into a server and it's like you click a verify button and like all the channels unload on you and you don't know where to go. So part of the reason why onboarding is super important is so you don't have that experience. And it is a very big value when you're onboarding and getting new users that they get different experiences and they see only the relevant information to them and know what to do next and only see the next step and don't get overloaded with like super deep years-long informations and threads. So what, for example, Developer DAO has done is they set up roles to sort newcomers and more experienced members of their community so they have their own customized experience in the server and they only interact once there's like certain thresholds passed by the newbies. And I've intersected a few minutes here, so we do questions, and I'll have like a finisher section. So we do have microphones, sir. So there's one question in the back. If you have any questions or tips you want to have, or based on what I just shown, now is the time. We have a few minutes.
Thanks. I usually don't speak in mics. Can you hear me?
Closer.
Hello?
Perfect.
Yeah, okay, great. So you made these groups with these parameters, but my online identity is pretty fragmented. So is there a way to attest which accounts I control so I can group them?
Can you speak closer?
Sorry, is there a way to attest which accounts I control? Because my online identity is fragmented. So a POAP is somewhere else than a contract deployment or my funds.
So what are the requirements? What was the second one after the POAP?
POAP, contract deployment, and my funds.
Yeah.
POAP, contracts, deployment, and funds are in pretty much like 2 to 3 different addresses and are fragmented. Is there a way to aggregate it so that like it's in one view?
So thank you for both of you for reiterating. What you can do to gather segmented. So let's say you own the POAP in one address on one chain. Then there's an NFT on another chain. Maybe you hold it in a different wallet. It's actually fairly simple because when we go back to here, on Guild specifically, because we're talking Guild, the account section's built in a way that, here's all my socials, babes. I have 4 accounts connected. So I have a main account, that's my ENS, and we're on Polygon, so it's showing my lens name, not the ENS name. And I have all my social accounts that I've used with the guilds that I'm in that I was required to connect to be able to get the rewards or be qualified with the requirements. So for example, if the requirement was to follow the project on Twitter, I had to connect my Twitter account. If the reward is me getting into a server and getting a role, the part of the requirement is to connect my Discord account, so to be able to qualify. And then all these addresses, I have different stuff in, and they're aggregated. So if I have my POAP in one of these, I do most of my social stuff on my main account because I'm built that way. But if a person has more broken identity, which is perfectly fine, they can collect all of these here. And they're all, it doesn't matter what chain is on. Guild recognizes chains separately. So if it's the requirement contains, actually I can show you in our guild that, for example, if the requirement contains multiple chains, so let's say, for example, the wallet age contains like 6 different chains that we look in, that this is a requirement for us to know to get into our community. If you've been active since 2023, March 1st on all of these chains, it doesn't matter which one you're active on with any of your wallets, that will qualify you. So it's aggregating. Thanks. Anything else? There's another one, sir.
Yeah, to continue the question essentially, have you ever considered maybe implementing something like Sysmo where you can prove certain things without disclosing all these addresses?
So, of course, sir. Good question. Thanks. I'll show you right away. We have been working with Sysmo since forever, and also different teams that I can show you right now. So Sysmo is a requirement. You can set any of the Sysmo badges as requirements, so you don't need to do all of those. You can do it in a more private way. Another one that I think is highly, highly, highly good is the Polygon ID integration. So what you can do is you can do the same, authenticate with Polygon ID, so you don't need to reveal all of those straight up to Guild. It can be much more private. You need to download the Polygon ID app to make that work, but then the requirement will show up as a QR code on your screen, and you just pull out your phone and with your camera and your application, and you can authenticate in a much more private way. So we do have these solutions for privacy-aware individuals. We also have, since we're the SAFE event, I'll also plug that. We have been integrated in the SAFE app, so SAFE users can also use guilds with their accounts natively, which is super cool. Let me see. I think that's the questions that we have now, and I'll continue with the end of the prez to be aware of time, and then we can have more questions, and I'll also be around. So to kind of summarize what all of this was, is roles are good, and the role of roles is not to be left behind. And I would like to encourage everyone to focus back on knowing who actually is in your audience, because that's actually the most valuable thing you can do for marketing, for onboarding, for education, for every bit of purpose that requires other people to have eyes on anything you're doing. Focus on that. Do that, do more. And segmentation is a super big help to do that in a much more automated and sustainable way. So when you have 100,000 people in your community, you don't need to talk to everyone. You can't physically talk to that many people, but you'll know at least a certain number of information pieces that is very valuable to you to know how to provide better experiences for them. And this way, we can hopefully build much more enjoyable experiences and better ways to work together, connect together, and continue to build these projects, have better feedback systems, better events, better everything, because we'll know much more context that is needed for these relationships. That's it. Thank you so much. And now I'll put us back on here. This is really cool. It's only 19 people, but it's really fun to see in live. Cute. Thank you so much for coming. If you have any more questions, I'll be here. That's it.